When it comes to helping ensure the health and safety in the long term for WWE's athletes and keep things fresh in the minds of fans, most people would agree that an off-season would be beneficial. But in McMahon land, off-season is a dirty word. The company would never dream of taking months off at a time to allow people to rest up when there are so many pay-per-views to sell and so many fans still wanting to buy them. But what if I told you there was a way for wrestlers to take some much-needed time off, let the fans breathe a little bit, and let WWE continue to operate on a weekly basis? This week, I'm here to explain. Let's pretend we live in a world where the company decides to implement an off-season for their wrestlers. The way I see it, there are two different ways to go about it. The first and most simple option is to grant everyone 3 months off after WrestleMania, with a return in July to build up to SummerSlam as the official season opener. The biggest downside? 3 months without TV or live ticket sales. Then there's the second option, which addresses those concerns, but it's a bit more complicated. As of this recording, there are roughly 65 men and women actively working in WWE's main roster. If you remove the part-time people like Undertaker, Brock Lesnar, and Chris Jericho, then you round it down to roughly 60 people. Let's take those 60 wrestlers and split them into 4 groups of 15. The wrestlers are randomly assigned to each group, but they can't be unevenly weighted in terms of star power. For example, you can't have one group full of jobbers and one group full of top guys. A group also can't have more than 2 tag teams and 4 women. Over the course of a year, each group will take a total of 3 months off in a staggered order. For example, Group A would take January, February, and December. Group B would take off July through September. Group C takes off October through December, and Group D takes off April through June. During these 3 months, the wrestlers would be paid their downside guarantees as if they were out with an injury. By the way, when these groups take their time off, a handful of NXT wrestlers would come up to the main roster on a temporary basis in order to keep the talent pool fresh. The only time of year all 4 groups would be on the road at the same time would be during the month of WrestleMania, which in the case of this example is in March. That way, everyone would have a theoretical chance of working the biggest show of the year. Nobody gets left out. The trade-off would be that each group would miss one of the other big 4 shows. In this example, Group A misses the Rumble, Group B misses SummerSlam, and Group C misses Survivor Series. But wait, you ask, what about Group D? They don't miss any of the big shows in this example. What gives? Well, dear viewers, that's where it gets interesting. I took my example from 1 calendar year and expanded it into a 4-year cycle. Rather than each group getting the same 3 months off, it rotates from year to year. Each group is reassigned a different set of months, and it cycles every 4 years. This way, there's always a group that's able to work all the big 4, but the group with that distinction changes from year to year. If I'm starting to lose you, let's review. Instead of one unilateral off-season, 4 groups of wrestlers take their turns getting their time off during the calendar year. Over the course of 4 years, everyone gets the same amount of time on and time off. Time on the road would be spent in different sized chunks, as little as 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and once every 4 years a group would spend a 15-month stretch on the road. That part might sound hard, but remember, they eventually get their 3-month break. Let's break down the benefits of this plan. Firstly, the wrestlers get the time off they need to heal their bodies. They can also make TV appearances and film for movies without having to be awkwardly written off for X number of weeks. Second, WWE would be able to focus their attention and their energy on a smaller number of talent at any given time, which would theoretically allow for better character development and better storylines. Additionally, the staggered approach would allow the company to continue working 52 weeks a year. Finally, because the roster would constantly be changing up, fans would not get burned out on overexposed talent and a stale main event scene. I have to stress, this hypothetical plan of mine is not perfect. There's a ton of issues I don't really address in this example. Things like injuries, the whims of Vince McMahon and the creative writers, the bloated programming schedule, the whole independent contractor label, wrestlers entering and leaving the company, etc. But I believe this theoretical off-season schedule strikes the perfect balance between wrestler advocacy, fan excitement, and bottom line. And when it comes to WWE, that last one's the only one that matters. In this case, they'd have their cake and eat it too. So what do you think about the idea of an off-season in WWE? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it'll ever happen? Which option that I presented would you rather have? Let me know in the comments section. Be sure to thumbs up this video, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.